Hi, and welcome to this quick introduction to the iSHARE Trust Framework. The iSHARE Trust Framework started in 2015 with the core principle to enable data owners to stay in full control of their data. Data is everywhere already, and the key principle that iSHARE lives by is data stays at source. And those sources are all over. Sources like SaaS companies, service providers, and all those companies that you already work with. And wouldn't it be great if you can give others access to that data under your control? So any AI can base on that specific data set, so they can give you better recommendations, better capabilities, better insights, better planning, and all that. So the potential of that data is enormous. But of course, you need to be able to trust those parties that work with your data and can access your data. That's where the iShare Trust Framework has been vital for so many use cases. So how does this work? The iShare Trust Framework starts from assurance. And that comes from legal and not from technology at first. Legal assures that based on the principles in the Data Governance Act, but making this more specific and really usable, parties onboard on a frame agreement that everybody uses in the same way, governing the policies that you later on share to others. That's the starting point, creating an iShare Trust credential that gives you the assurance that there's legal coverage validated in the right way. Of course, that is based on the organizational assurance. Assurance that an organization is really validated by a third party and that there's a credential and there's proof of that validation. iShare defines as a framework what the requirements are to identities. But of course, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're using existing identity structures and building the framework on top of that, like the IDAS framework that is used in Europe, but not limited to that. The iShare identity structure in that is intercontinental, and we're open to other geographies as well. And on top of that, there's technical assurance. The assurance that the implementations of different participants is done the right way. That those SaaS companies implemented the APIs correctly, so you can trust that they always validate if there's an authorization by you to do anything with that data outside of that platform. Also, that part is done with the iShare Trust Framework and with the certification tooling, which is going in depth into the APIs of the SaaS companies you work with and that you already trust with your data. So on this baseline of assurance, where there's always a third party and there's a triangle of trust that you can trust that another party is validating the parties you're trusting on, that gives the foundation for you to give others access to that information. And that can be anything. That can be small attributes, can be documents, can be specific structures. But you should be able to control what you give a data consumer access to, because you don't want to share trusted information with competitors or anybody else. So how does this work in the iShare Trust Framework? The key point is that there's a principle of a digital contract. That digital contract is based on the iShare access policies and usage policies that first of all define and validate the legal assurance and validate the organizational assurance based on the iShare principles, but if you want, also based on GaiaX. Next to that is that technical assurance, that full API validation, but maybe you also want to have assurance from other frameworks like IDSA. All those credentials, all those validations can be part of the policies that we already use and define. And on that basis, there is attribute-based access control, which is a complicated term for I can give you access to my energy consumption of last hour just for a period of 5 seconds, so you can only use it at this specific moment. Giving you access to that specific data because I know you're trusted and you're already legally covered. But then I want to define what you can do with that information. That last part is done through the iShare license structure. Licenses are basically policies that are legally validated. So I give you access with a specific legally covered license to use that. With this structure, we create trust from a baseline, from assurance of parties and assurance of implementations, and we can create very fine-grained structures, which of course can be a part of a fully automated scheme and a fully automated structure where you allow your software to play and create those policies if you want that. But you as a data owner, you are in full control. This is live today and in production. But building all that, we've learned that it's sometimes hard to actually get it to work. So that's where the iShare Trust Framework, next to trust, data sovereignty that we just have been seeing, is also enabling discovery. Specifically discovery of participants. So you as a participant can be, if you want, discoverable to others. So they can find if you're trusted. If you're trusted against the terms that we just seen. Which is in full detail specification, so specified on API level and on credential level. So you can always validate the same fields. On that basis, I can find where you have your data services available. iShare is not a marketplace. The iShare framework enables you to let others discover what marketplaces or what data services you have available so others can collaborate with you. And last but not least, I want to be able to get access to that information. So I need to ask you a question. And of course, you're not operating your own policy structure. You can run your a policy structure at an external service provider where you just can do anything you want with that specific request. But I need to be able to ask that request to you. So those three aspects of discovery are solved through the iShare Trust Framework. So that's how iShare in the basics works. And with that, we bring a ready set of building blocks to data ecosystems that can build on this set of components. Some open source, some documentation and definition. But with this, we're saving data spaces millions and millions because you don't have to reinvent the wheel and build on the framework to create your own applications. Focus on the data aspects. Focus on everything that are specific to your use case with the Trust Lego that the iShare framework is bringing. And that's what we're doing across domains. With that, enabling cross-domain interoperability. Governed by you, governed by data spaces, governed by the participants that use the framework. iShare is a full nonprofit and will be fighting for data sovereignty forever. With the support of you, we'll bring you the trust components and aspects that you need on a daily basis. Hope this clarifies and hope you can find more data here on the iShare website.